Welcome to the PTSD Podcast with your host, comedian and military veteran, Bernard the Laugh Therapist Hines, where we discuss PTSD, processing traumatic situations differently, and give you tools to help you overcome the stigma of seeking help. If you're ready to be inspired, then welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone. Here's your host, the Laugh Therapist himself, Bernard Hines.
What up, good people? What up, good people? Hey, it's your boy, Bernard Hines, a.k.a. the Laugh Therapist, and welcome to the PTSD, Processing Traumatic Situation Differently podcast. Here, we try to inform, enlighten, and become advocates for one another as we learn more productive ways to process our trauma. Always remember, though, as a therapist, I am not licensed. I am just medicated. Welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone. What up, good people? How y'all doing? It's your boy. Welcome back. Welcome back. Listen, y'all, I have a great show today. I have Miss Helen Noel. She'll be coming up here. She's from Talk Story Incorporated, a nonprofit organization established for the education and support of individuals living through traumatic experiences. So right now, without further ado, I'm going to bring her to the stage, Miss Helen Noel. Come on, y'all. Let's give it up for Miss Helen. How are you doing, Miss Helen?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you for being here with me today. It is an honor to have you. You are retired what branch?
Air Force.
Retired Air Force. How many years? Come on, get to them.
24 all day.
24 years.
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay. So what made you go in the Air Force and not the Army?
Oh man, I just I never even considered going in either.
I understand that.
The Air Force recruiter just happened to show up at my school, and next thing you know, he had me hook, line, and sinker.
Smart move. I would say smart move. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Smart move. Y'all ain't live in the woods.
No, we didn't.
You ain't had no ticks.
All good.
Yeah, no ticks, no triggers, chiggers, none of that stuff. So Miss Helen, tell us a little bit about your organization, Talk Story Incorporated.
Okay. Talk Story, just like you said, it's an organization established for the education and support of people living through post-traumatic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I started the organization after I wrote my book.
Okay.
I wrote 7 Days in the Fire when I was on active duty.
Okay.
Came off of active duty, I realized that I was traumatized when I was writing a book, and writing became a part of my therapy. So after that, quite naturally, I wanted to educate people about trauma. So I started a organization to do just that.
Wow. And that has taken you a lot of places to speak about it, to talk about it, and is your passion.
Absolutely. It has evolved into so much more. A lot of times when God gives you something, act on that out of obedience. You
Correct.
Just know how wide and how broad, he's going to extend you as a result of that obedience.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done speaking engagements. And even when I was in the military, I used to speak.
Okay.
Informational speaker. I've done podcasts, training for PTSD, learned that my family was a part of a study as a result of generational trauma. So definitely led me to my purpose.
Correct. All right. And we can listen, we're going to jump right into what we're going to be talking about today, y'all. We're going to be talking about the Rosenwald. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Rosenwald Fund Study. And Miss Helen is going to tell us all about it. Listen, y'all, it's something that we really didn't know about. Miss Helen has brought it to light. She was on the radio show talking about it. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to learn about history that we probably never even heard, because I never even heard about it until you brought it to light. So can you provide an overview of the Rosenwald Fund Study and its objectives?
Absolutely. The Rosenwald Fund Study was the precursor to the Tuskegee syphilis study and the Guatemala syphilis inoculation study.
Okay.
Right after World War I, a lot of the soldiers and sailors were coming back from overseas from World War I with syphilis.
Mm-hmm.
A global problem. And as a result of that, the League of Nations stood up an investigation to try to standardize a method for treatment.
Okay.
And prior to them standardizing the treatment, the United States decided that they were going to conduct their own study. So they chose southern states,
Okay, yeah.
in Americans in southern states to conduct the study on. And
Mm,
Rosenwald Fund study came about. Rosenwald was at the time, he was the president of Sears,
mm,
and he was friends with Booker T. Washington.
okay.
Had established a relationship with Booker T. Washington, and after Booker T. Washington passed away, Rosenwald stood up in a fund, the Rosenwald Fund,
Mm-hmm.
Betterment of Mankind. And as a result of that, the Public Health Service sought his participation in the study. So he
Okay.
funded the project, and that's how it became known as the Rosenwald Fund Study.
Wow. Did not know this from Sears. The
Yeah,
gentleman. Wow. What is the context of the time in terms of medical practices, research, ethics, and community dynamics during the Rosenwald Study Fund?
but when you think about it, considering that this study happened it started in 1929.
Mm,
That was during the time frame in which Black physicians were separate from the white medical community.
okay.
The white community during that time frame, they had established the American Medical Association, and as a result of being excluded, Blacks stood up their own organization.
Okay.
So that, as far as ethics and everything, that was also during a time frame in which they were conducting studies without informed consent. That was
Got it.
prior to the Belmont report, which came out as a result of the Tuskegee study. So basically, they were just experimenting without informed consent. That's exactly what it was, and used African Americans as guinea pigs.
Wow. No HIPAA, no nothing. Just do what we want to do.
Absolutely.
So, is that how the communities were approached to participate in the study, or how was their approach to participate in the study?
During that time frame, Black clergy and
Okay.
Black superintendent of schools were the influential group in Black communities. And because it was the first time that many African Americans in the South ever received government sponsored health care, they didn't necessarily know to even question the legitimacy of it. So, because like I said, they convinced the Black clergy and the Black superintendents of schools that it was legit,
Mm-hmm.
then they cooperated because of that.
Wow. So, so we took the words of some people who are in power and who we deem to be, uh, as we say, on our side, but they probably didn't really know what everything was.
I doubt it because, like I said, because during that time frame, Black physicians were excluded, you
Mm-hmm.
know, white physicians and everything, they pretty much was just taking them at their word.
Correct. Mm. Listen, y'all, we talking to Miss Helen Noel. She is the CEO of Talk Study Incorporated, a nonprofit organization established for the education and support of individuals living through traumatic experiences. And we are talking about the Rosenwald Fund study, y'all. You need to go look it up. And she's gonna be breaking it down for us. What type of research methods and materials were used in the Rosenwald Fund?
During the Rosenwald Fund study, like I said, because it was the precursor to the Tuskegee study,
Mm-hmm.
they were using a test known as the Wasserman blood test to diagnose patients,
Okay.
also known to be prone to false positive results.
Mm.
So they were using a faulty test at that time as well.
Okay.
So what they were doing, they were testing these individuals, and during that time frame, because African Americans were still living on farms slash populations as
Mm-hmm.
during that time frame, they
Mm-hmm.
had low standard of living. Their diet was low. They ate, primarily their diet was pig and scrapple and things of that nature. So
Ooh,
things that when they were testing them, it could have actually been traced to other symptoms and illnesses like malaria and
got it.
just based on their standard of living during that time frame as well. And they're
Mm.
using toxic heavy metals
Okay.
on patients, primarily mercury, arsenic, bismuth. So they were using those toxic heavy metals, and as a result of that, the heavy toxic metals have adverse health effects in future generations.
So the heavy metal was still causing health effects. Are we saying that? Still, I mean, from generation to generation?
Well, when you do the math and you look at it as a whole and you go out and just read
Mm-hmm.
heavy metal poisoning, and it adversely affects future generations. And even the Agency of Toxic Substance and Disease Registry will tell you that it does have adverse health effects.
Wow. Well, I'm sure, but I'm still going to add, were there any long-term health consequences observed in the individuals who was in these studies?
Well, I have reason to believe that my family may have been a part of this study.
Okay.
And if they were, it has affected three generations in my family alone.
Mm.
Knowing that the adverse health effects have affects future generations and
Okay.
it's being passed on in the blood, then therein lies the problem.
Correct. Yeah, because they can test a lot of stuff with blood and they can tell you what's wrong with you, your DNA. They can tell you just about everything. And I'm sure those metals and the heavy toxins. Oh man. And I never heard of this. What made you so passionate about this?
When I was a child, one of my cousins, like I said, I had reason to believe that my family may have been a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a child, I made a blood pinky promise to my cousin to basically always love and take care of her no matter what.
Okay.
I was in the military, she was in the army, and she ended up getting out of the military because the illness came on her.
Hmm.
Because I made this promise to her, growing up, what goes on in the family stays in the family. So we didn't necessarily talk a lot about it when we were kids.
Okay.
But my passion for genealogy, after I wrote my book and retired, I started doing some oral interviews. And during that time frame, I discovered that my family was from Tennessee, and I had
Okay.
before. And I also, through, just from oral interviews, I also heard that one of my family members thought that our family may have been a part of the Tuskegee study. But being
Okay.
passionate about ancestry, I knew that our family wasn't from Tennessee, wasn't from Alabama, where the Tuskegee study actually occurred.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, when I retired from the military, I attended a Black History Month program,
Okay.
and I was on the program was a Tuskegee Airman. He was
Okay.
documented as an original Tuskegee Airman, and he invited me to his ceremony. It was at his ceremony that I connected the pieces to my story. Because at his ceremony, when I was looking in the program, I noticed that Rickenbacker Air Force Base,
Hmm.
Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base, if I'm not mistaken, it was in Ohio.
Okay.
Ohio. So that was kind of the connection that God used to get me to inquire further because Ohio and Tuskegee, and me being from Ohio and my family thinking that our family was from Tuskegee, it prompted me to go back home and inquire further. So I contacted the Tuskegee University
Wow.
executive director and I explained to him my family member's suspicion. And
Okay.
at the time, that's when he informed me that there was a study that happened before Tuskegee, the Rosenwald Fund study that many people didn't know about.
Yes.
And that's what prompted me to start doing additional research in the Rosenwald Fund study. And that's when I learned the states that were involved, which just so happened to be Tennessee. And that's where my family migrated from during the Great Migration.
Wow. I mean, are you doing this alone or do you have a team or how are you doing this tracking?
Primarily, I have been doing my research
Okay.
up until this year. Well,
Mm-hmm.
last when I stood up. Um, I'm hosting a Flower Girls Gala to
Yep.
bring awareness to this atrocity. And as
Okay.
a result of the Flower Girls, God has given me more people to be on my team. But up until last year, I've been doing my research pretty much solo.
Wow. Okay. Now, looking back, how do we evaluate the ethical considerations of the Rosenwald study, particularly in the context of complementary research ethics?
Like I said, when it comes to informed consent.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about Henrietta Lacks, for instance, and the fact that she was experimented on without informed consent as well.
Mm.
You know, during that time frame, excuse me, there, with African Americans and without there being informed consent, there's a lot of medical studies in which they have used African Americans and people of color in medical experimentation.
Okay.
Prior to Helsinki and the Belmont report coming out in the 1970s, they could experiment on human subjects in experimentation without their informed consent.
Mm.
Now there are laws in place in which you cannot do that. You have to have informed consent. So a lot has changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Still does not negate the fact that they should grant the apology and investigation for what occurred in the past.
Wow. What lessons can we learn from the Rosenwald study regarding informed consent, research ethics, and community engagement in medical research? What can we learn from that?
Pretty much, I think that the need and the necessity for African Americans to start talking more about their family history.
Okay.
You know, instead of being ashamed about, where you came from and
Mm-hmm.
have, things, the medical history in your families. A lot of times when we talk about it, that's when we learn. So to not, be embarrassed about different things that have occurred and to just ask questions and to start documenting, because if you have these illnesses and you're passing them on to your children, you
Mm-hmm.
know better, we do better.
Correct. Correct.
It's time out for the secrets, and it's time for us to start talking about our history as a people and
And
our
I
medical history.
and yeah, I truly believe because sometimes we go to the doctor, we just take their word. We don't
Absolutely.
we don't
And
ask no questions. We don't
right.
they put you on the medication. You don't ask what the side effect is. You don't ask, is there anything I can do to my diet to change this? We just go with the flow. If you said take a pill, take a pill.
Absolutely. And we know when it comes to, healthcare and access to healthcare iniquities in African Americans as a whole, the more we know about our history and our medical history, the more we can educate, the physicians.
Correct. Correct. Are there ongoing efforts to provide support or resources for affected communities or descendants, particularly in terms of healthcare and wellness programs?
No, and primarily a reason why is because we have yet to obtain the apology and investigation for this atrocity.
Got it.
Historical precedents have already been set for public health service conducted studies.
Okay.
President Clinton apologized for the Tuskegee study around 1997 timeframe. In 2010, President Obama apologized for the Guatemala study and initiated an investigation. So I've been seeking the presidential apology and investigation with the last three administrations.
Hmm.
Fail. And that's the reason why, like I said, that I launched the Family Love Matters for Movement for Justice.
Okay.
And I'm hosting the Flower Girls Gala to bring awareness to this atrocity.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit more about the gala that you're hosting.
Okay, let me tell you about that.
Tell about the gala.
So a couple years ago, and like I said, I give God all the glory
Mm-hmm. Amen.
for bringing this to my attention. And because they have been adamant about not granting the apology and investigation, God has given me another angle to tell the story. And I'm doing it through the Flower Girls Gala.
Okay.
Years ago, I reached out to on Facebook and asked 365 women if they would volunteer for a divinely inspired assignment. And they started volunteering quicker than I could give them the assignments.
Hmm.
And then I had to put the assignment on hold because I was getting ready to purchase a house. So I put the assignment on hold and I picked it back up last summer after my son graduated from college a couple years ago. And so um, in October, I launched a movement, the Family Love Matters Movement for Justice. And the Flower Girls, we're going to be hosting a gala. The Talk Story Incorporated, my company, will
Okay.
gala in Newport News to bring awareness. Well, you're on the program, that is, as the
Correct.
comedian. have Henrietta Lack's grandson, Alfred Kennard. He's going to be my guest speaker. The world-renowned harpist and musician Jeff Majors is also going to perform. So we're, like I said, we're going to bring these people together just to help, spread awareness about this atrocity and to sign the petition for the presidential apology and investigation and try to move forward to obtain the apology and investigation.
And during the gala, you're gonna have a question and answer educational session.
Yes, as a matter of fact, it's going to be a 3-day weekend.
Okay.
Friday night is going to be meet and greet at the hotel. Everything is at the Marriott Hotel in Newport News.
Okay.
Friday night will be the meet and greet. On Saturday, it's going to be for a vendor expo from 9 to noon. Local vendors and the flower girls who want to come and showcase their businesses as well. So I'm still seeking vendors for that up until the 15th of April. Later on that day, it's going to be a question and answer session where I'm going to be primarily speaking about my research. And then that evening from 6 until, we're going to have a full blown out program. We're going to pay tribute to my cousin Beverly because that's her 55th heavenly birthday.
Okay.
Same date. And then the next day, we're going to have a gospel program breakfast where the flower girls will be singing primarily. And we're going to officially launch the movement for justice.
Wow. And give me that date again for the gala.
Going to be April 26th through the 28th at Newport News Marriott.
That is right around the corner, people. And how can people register or get tickets for this event?
They can go directly to my website, Talk Story Incorporated, www.talkstoryinc.com. That's TalkStoryInc.com.
And they can find all the information about hotels if they're coming from out of town. You can learn more about this study. You possibly can hear a funny person that Saturday night. Hopefully he's gonna be funny. He's gonna tell some joke, gonna make folks laugh. We got a Jeff Majors, and I can't wait to hear him. Renowned harpist, y'all. It's gonna be a great event for a great cause. And I am definitely looking forward to learning more about this and hearing more about this. But how can people, your book, I just want to jump in a little bit about your book. What does your book bring out? Or what is your book about? Or what does this, who and what does it speak to?
Well, let me tell you about my book, 7 Days in the Fire. I wrote it when I was on active duty.
Okay.
I was re-experiencing a childhood traumatic event of when my grandfather scared me when I was a child. And on the 39th anniversary of his death, when I was on active duty, I re-experienced it.
Hold up. So a childhood trauma that re-triggered at 39. Wow.
39 years later.
Wow.
Yes, it re-triggered. And at the time, when my grandfather scared me when I was 2 years old, I didn't sleep that night. I became afraid of him after that. And he passed away on the 7th of February, 1968. 39 years later, on the 7th of February, 2007, I re-experienced it.
Wow.
And I didn't sleep for 7 days. So writing the book was part of my healing. And that's the book that God used to reveal to me that I was a victim of trauma. And as a result of that, I started researching trauma. And I started coming to the understanding, excuse me, that other family members have been traumatized because of the deaths and illnesses in our family, because we suffer from so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what led me to the research as well. So it was all a matter of me writing the book and realizing that I had been traumatized, and then God using that to stand up my company about trauma and bringing this atrocity to light. So a lot of times when we run from our purpose and what God has told us to do, we don't even realize that it really is not just about us, but it affects so many other people.
That's right.
So, it pays. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's why I have this podcast, PTSD, processing traumatic situations differently, because people process trauma differently than however other people you know what I'm saying? We process it differently.
Absolutely.
And long we processing it in a positive, legal way, I think that's a great thing, because People process it singing, laughing, comedy, however you got to do to get through the next day. You know what I'm saying?
And
To get
I,
through.
I encourage writing and talking.
Okay.
Talking is good therapy. As a matter of fact, I even last year I started a podcast, Own It and Talk It Out.
Okay.
Bring people to get people to start talking about their trauma more
Hmm.
because you own it and start talking about it, you can get the monkey off your back.
Correct. And what I say is, I don't do this to glorify trauma. I do this to glorify how we came out of our trauma and how
Amen.
we did positive things out of our trauma. Because I don't care. I heard the most positive, powerful thing. As long as you have a brain, you have had trauma.
Absolutely. Because
Period.
when you think about COVID traumatized all of us,
Yes, it did.
right?
Yes, it did. So Miss Helen, we're gonna get this gala going April 26th through the 28th. All right, we got a nice old Flower Girls Gala. Come on out, y'all. Y'all can go to her page, www.talkstoryinc.com. Is it
.com.
.com? That's Inc. INC, not INK. I got some of my cousins out there. They're gonna put INK right there. INC. And how else can people follow you, Miss Helen?
They can, like I said, mainly right now on my website,
Okay.
me through my website, and I do consulting, I do ancestry work as well. And also I want to let them know that if they want to sign the petition for the apology and investigation, it's also out there on my website through the Flower Girls Gala, and they can donate if they want to get involved, and just really stay in the know. So I'm going to be putting a lot more information on my website, so they can just go to my website to stay in touch.
That is awesome. That is great, Miss Helen. We thank you for being with us today. We understand you retired Air Force, but we still gonna support you because you still one of us. And I just want to thank you for being stigma free and telling folks about your trauma and what you've been through and how you overcame it. And I just want to thank you again. And is there any last words you would like to say to the people?
I just want to say thank you, Bernard. I look forward to you coming to the gala and doing what you do, and just want to thank you for everything. And my last words would be, like I said, once again, it's really important for us to know our family history. If we don't know our past, we don't know where we're going. So just support the gala. Come on out. It's open to men and women. So
That's
please
right.
out and be a part of history.
And get your clothes out, y'all. Shake the dust off your clothes. Take your people out. Take them out. Go ahead.
Okay, one more thing. For
Mm-hmm.
all women who are coming, we're asking them to wear floral attire.
Oh, floral tie. Okay.
Floral. So pay attention to the attire if you go to the website to register. And then on that Sunday, when we close it out, we're going to wear jeans and a t-shirt. So once you register for the gala, you'll also be getting a t-shirt.
Awesome. That'll work. Thank you, Miss Helen. Yes, listen, y'all, go to the website. You can also, I'm gonna have it posted on my website, thelaughTherapist.com. The link, you can go to it however you want to find it. Thank you again, Miss Helen. You are released from the stigma-free zone. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.